Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. It's a nondescript Thursday when my phone erupts with a series of urgent dings. Text messages flood in, blurring into a stream of panic that grips my chest tight. Mark's in the hospital, heart attack. Reads the latest one from Sarah, Mark's sister. My heart skips. Mark, my childhood friend, the indestructible joker of our pack, hospital-bound and vulnerable. I drop everything, my half-eaten sandwich on my desk forgotten, as I rush out of the office. The streets blur as I weave through the afternoon traffic, my mind a tumult of worry and confusion. How could Mark, only 35, succumb to a heart attack? The hospital's stark white walls and the antiseptic smell hit me as I arrive. I pace through the corridors, my steps quick and anxious until I find room 403. There I pause, taking a deep breath before pushing the door open. Mark lies there, pale and strangely silent, tubes snaking around him like modern-day leeches. His sister Sarah stands by the window, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. She looks up as I enter, relief momentarily washing over her face. "James, thank God you're here," she whispers, her voice a fragile thread. I nod, unable to speak, my gaze fixed on Mark. Approaching his bed, I reach out, placing a hand over his. "Buddy, you've got to fight through this," I murmur, more to comfort myself than him. Sarah and I exchange a look, an unspoken agreement of worry, before a doctor enters, a middle-aged man with a clipboard and a weary smile. "Mr. Thompson?" he asks, looking directly at me. I nod, standing straighter. "I'm Dr. Miles. I understand you're Mr. Hare's closest friend. There's something important we need to discuss about his health." In the small private space by the nurse's station, Dr. Miles wastes no time. "Your friend needs to cut back on certain activities to avoid further strain on his heart," he begins, his tone clinical yet tinged with an edge of awkwardness. Before I can ask for specifics, he hands me an item that makes my world spin, a familiar purse, worn at the edges, undoubtedly belonging to Jenna, my wife. Confusion and a cold dread settle in as I turn the purse over in my hands. "Advise your friend to cut back on sexual activities, otherwise we might not be able to save his life the next time," Dr. Miles continues, oblivious to the earthquake in my expression. I stare at him, words failing me. The purse in my hands, a silent accusation, a hidden story of betrayal. "This? Why do you have this?" My voice is a hoarse whisper, barely audible. "It was found in his room upon his admission," the doctor replies, his eyebrows knitting together in concern at my reaction. The room spins, the walls inching closer as betrayal and worry clash violently within me. I need air, space to think, to understand. How did Jenna's purse end up with Mark? The implications are too painful, too shocking to digest all at once. "Thank you, doctor," I managed to say, my voice hollow. "I'll talk to him." With the purse clutched in my hand, I return to Mark's room. Sarah looks from the purse to my face, her expression turning to one of dawning realization and horror. "James, what's—" "Not now, Sarah." My words cut through the thick air, final and cold. I sit, the weight of 1,000 thoughts pressing down on me, staring at my friend who lies unaware of the chaos his condition has brought. This is just the beginning, I realize. The truth, whatever it may be, will unravel from here. But for now, I wait for Mark to wake, for explanations that might never mend what's already broken. The fluorescent lights of the hospital corridor flicker, casting an eerie glow as I pace back and forth. Every second feels stretched, each tick of the clock a loud echo in my tumultuous thoughts. Jenna's purse, a tangible piece of betrayal, weighs heavy in my pocket. The leather feels colder, more accusing than before. As I turn the corner, a figure approaches, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a somber expression. It's Eric, Mark's coworker and another longtime friend from our school days. "James, I just heard about Mark," Eric says, his voice rough with concern. He notices my strained face. "You look like hell, man. What's going on?" I shake my head, the words stuck. How do I begin to explain? But the need to share to lighten this burden is overwhelming. "It's complicated," I finally admit, pulling out the purse and handing it to him. Eric's eyes widen as he recognizes it. "Isn't this Jenna's?" "Yes," I cut in, my voice bitter. "Found with Mark." The words hang between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Eric runs a hand through his hair, struggling with the implication. There's got to be an explanation, James. This doesn't make sense. Before we can delve deeper, a nurse interrupts us. Mr. Thompson, Mr. Harris is awake. He's asking for you. Nodding to Eric, I steel myself and head back to room 403. Inside, Mark looks fragile, the usual spark in his eyes dimmed by pain and medication. His gaze locks onto mine, a mix of guilt and fear flickering across his features. James, he starts, his voice a hoarse whisper. I didn't know how to tell you. Cutting him off, I toss Jenna's purse onto his bed. Start with this. Mark's eyes fix on the purse, and he winces as if it physically pains him. She came to me, James. Jenna was confused, scared about you too. We talked. One thing led to another and... Stop, I snap. The room feeling unbearably tight. How long, Mark? It was a mistake, he pleads, his hands trembling. It wasn't planned. It just happened, a few times. I was going to end it, I swear. The door swings open, and Jenna stands there, pale and shocked. She hadn't seen me yet, her eyes flitting from Mark to the purse and back to me. James, she stammers, stepping inside. Save it, I say, the anger in my voice more controlled than I feel. I want the truth, Jenna, now. She hesitates, tears welling up. I was lonely, you were always working, and Mark was there. It didn't mean anything. Her words were like a punch to the gut, every syllable another crack in the already shattered remains of our trust. Did it mean something to you, Mark? I ask, my gaze fixed on him, needing to understand the depth of this betrayal. Mark doesn't meet my eyes. I thought I loved her, he murmurs, his voice almost inaudible. The room spins, and I need support, grasping the back of a chair. Eric steps in, his presence a silent pillar of strength. We need to sort this out, but maybe not right here, he suggests gently. You're right. I concede, my heart heavy. We will talk about this, Jenna, but not now. I look at Mark, the hurt clear in my eyes. Get better, buddy. We're not done. As we step out, leaving Jenna with a tearful Mark, Eric places a hand on my shoulder. Let's grab some coffee, figure out where to go from here. Nodding silently, I follow him, the hospital's sterile air suffocating around me. This is far from over, and the road ahead is murky with lies and half-truths. As we walk, I know one thing for certain. I'm not just fighting for my friend's health now, but also battling the chaos in my personal life. The unraveling has only just begun. The air in the coffee shop is thick with the aroma of roasted beans and the low hum of whispered conversations. Eric and I sit across from each other at a small round table near the back. He sips his coffee, his face etched with concern. James, you can't let this eat you up. You need to decide what you're going to do about Jenna. And Mark, he says, his voice firm yet sympathetic. I nod, staring into the dark swirls of my own cup. I know. It's just a lot to process. My wife and my best friend. My voice cracks with the raw edge of betrayal still fresh. Maybe you should talk to someone professional about this. A counselor or something. Eric suggests, leaning back in his chair. Before I can respond, my phone vibrates. It's Sarah, Mark's sister. Her name lights up the screen, and a knot forms in my stomach. I excuse myself and answer the call, stepping outside for privacy. James, where are you? There's been a complication with Mark. Sarah's voice is rushed, panicked. What kind of complication? I ask, my heart sinking. He's had another minor attack, stress-induced. The doctors stabilized him, but they want to keep him under close observation, she explains, her voice shaky. I'll be right there, I assure her, my earlier anger towards Mark softening into worry. I return to the table, explaining the situation to Eric. He nods in understanding. Go, I'll handle things at work. Just focus on what's important right now. Back at the hospital, I find Sarah outside Mark's room, her face pale, her eyes red. He's asking for you, she murmurs as I approach. Taking a deep breath, I push the door open. Mark looks up, his expression one of fear and regret. James, I'm so sorry, he starts immediately. I never wanted to hurt you. I pull up a chair, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. Mark, we've been friends for over 20 years. Why didn't you come to me first before letting things go this far? He grimaces, pain flickering across his face. I don't know, man. It was stupid, selfish. I wasn't thinking clearly. As we talk, Jenna arrives, her face drawn, eyes avoiding mine. She takes a cautious step inside, looking between us. James, can we talk? Please, she pleads. I nod stiffly, standing to meet her in the hallway. Her presence is a reminder of everything that has collapsed around us. James, I am sorry. I know sorry isn't enough, but I was lost. And Mark was there, Jenna begins, her voice trembling. Being lost doesn't justify you betraying our marriage, I interrupt, my voice cold. What did you expect would happen, Jenna? She bites her lip, struggling with her words. I didn't think about the consequences. I just felt so alone. You were always with work or out, and I just wanted to feel wanted, she admits, tears spilling over. The hurt is too deep, the wound too fresh. I need some space, Jenna. I can't sort through this with you here right now. Her face falls, but she nods, understanding the gravity of her mistake. I'll stay with my sister. Call me when you're ready to talk. As she walks away, the weight of her absence is both a relief and a new kind of pain. I turn back to Mark's room, where Sarah is waiting. Her worried eyes meet mine, and without a word, she offers a comforting hug. The day's events leave me drained, my emotions spent. It's clear that the road to recovery for Mark, for my marriage, for myself, is going to be a long one, and at this moment, I'm unsure which path I'm prepared to walk down again. Days turn into weeks, and life settles into a grim routine. I've taken time off work to clear my head, spending long hours wandering the city or sitting in parks, lost in thought. Jen has moved out temporarily, staying with her sister as we agreed, giving us both space to think. Mark's recovery is slow but steady, according to Sarah, who keeps me updated, though I haven't visited him again. One afternoon, as I'm returning from a solitary walk, my phone buzzes with a call from Eric. James, you need to meet me at Cafe Verde right now. It's important. His tone, urgent and serious, piques my curiosity. I head to the cafe, finding Eric waiting with 2 coffees already on the table. His expression is grave. James, there's something you need to know about Jenna and Mark, he says without preamble. I tense, bracing for more bad news. What now? It's not what we thought. I've been doing some digging, talking to some people at Mark's and Jenna's work. I think there's more to this story, Eric reveals, his eyes locking onto mine. I frown, confused. What do you mean? Mark and Jenna were part of a project at work, a big, stressful project. I found out they were meeting up to discuss work outside of office hours because of the confidentiality. It wasn't an affair, James. They were trying to fix a major bug that could have cost the company millions. I sit back, shocked. But the purse, the hotel. They met at a hotel conference room last time. Jenna left her purse by accident, Eric explains. But Mark said he thought he loved her. I trail off, trying to piece everything together. Eric shakes his head. He was on medication when you spoke to him, remember? Painkillers, sedatives. It might have confused him, or maybe he misunderstood your questions. It feels like the ground is shifting beneath me. Had I misunderstood the whole situation? Have my jealousy and fear clouded my judgment? I'm still processing when my phone rings again. It's the hospital. Heart pounding, I answer, fearing the worst. Mr. Thompson, this is Dr. Miles. I'm calling about Mark Harris. He's had a setback, and he's asking for you. Can you come? I agree and rush to the hospital, thoughts whirling. When I arrive, I find Mark awake, looking clearer than the last time I saw him. James, he begins, his voice steady. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About what happened. I never had romantic feelings for Jenna. It was all a misunderstanding. We were working together, that's all. I'm sorry for everything. The relief is overwhelming, but so is the frustration at how easily things spiraled out of control. I nod, accepting his apology, the tension easing between us. Thanks for clearing that up, Mark. I jumped to conclusions. We both did, he admits, offering a weak smile. As I leave the hospital, my phone buzzes with a text from Jenna. Can we talk? Meeting her at a nearby park. I tell her everything. Her relief mirrors mine, and we sit in silence for a long moment, just processing. James, I want to make things right. I should have communicated better, she says earnestly. I should have trusted you more, I admit. We decide to start anew, rebuilding our relationship on stronger, clearer foundations. The air between us clears, as if a storm has passed, leaving the world fresh and new. As we walk back together, the setting sun casts long shadows on our path, but the light ahead is bright and promising. We step forward hand in hand into a future where misunderstandings are just whispers in the wind.